Hi, I was supposed to speak at my grandmother's funeral today at the church. Unfortunately, they forgot about me. And it was really sad for me because the best way I know how to honor my grandmother, whom I loved so very much, was to write something about her and speak about her for her. So I'm going to do it now so that I can share it with everybody. My name is Jessie D'Amato Ford. I am the eldest granddaughter of Clara. I am also the shortest grandchild, and we all know who I can thank for that. Thank you, Graham. She was the only one I was taller than. My grandmother was incredibly special to so many of us. Today, I want to share with you some of the things I learned from her over the years, learnings that will stay with me forever in hopes that I can continue to share her legacy and wealth of knowledge. I learned from my grandmother to always be kind and friendly to people. You couldn't take her anywhere without her making a friend or striking up a conversation with someone. In some cases, she'd start singing. You all have been there when Clara just started singing wherever she was, no matter who was around. I've noticed that when I'm at the store or at my kids' events, I am the one giving strangers compliments or being friendly. I thank her for teaching that to me because it always brings a smile to my face. I learned how to crochet, sort of. She taught me, sent me home with the tools, and then I could never do it again. So I did learn from her and consequently failed, but that's the thought that counts. I learned that true love really exists. When I was with my grandparents, you could just tell how in love they were. All the photos I've seen from back in the day, their faces just glow with radiant love. When my grandfather came back from the war, Graham told me he didn't talk much. He had changed a lot. And with all he went through, as you can imagine it, right? But she stood by him and they always loved each other no matter what. I learned that if you misplace something or can't find something, all you have to do is pray to St. Anthony. That missing item will show up that day or maybe a year from now, but it always does reappear because of those prayers. Now, listen, Graham wanted me to have a pair of earrings, but one of them is lost. So if you can all help both of us and say a prayer to St. Anthony, maybe I'll get that earring someday. I know she'd appreciate your help, and I would too. I learned a lot about entertaining and cooking from my grandmother. She always told me to never clean my house before the guests arrived because you're just going to have to clean again after. She loved to entertain and told me how every Saturday night she'd host dinners and cook for everyone. It brought her so much joy. She also confided in me that her and Grandpa were never invited over dinner themselves. I like to think others were intimidated by her talents, but through this she taught me to never give to receive. She entertained all those years because she loved it, not because she hoped there'd be a reciprocal invitation. I learned that if someone comes to your home, you immediately offer them food and drink. If they say no thank you, make them pastina anyway. When they are done, give them cookies that you store in the dishwasher because everyone knows you store your treats there and not your dishes to clean. And when they leave the house, you give them the rest of the cookie pack because you have 4 packs for this exact reason, and they were on sale. I had a beautiful dinner in Italy when I was there. It was the most delicious thing I'd ever eaten. When I told Graham, she asked me what it tasted like, and voila, she made it exactly as it had been at the restaurant, if not better. She had such a gift for cooking. To this day, that meal is the only thing I can cook because though she did try to teach me, cooking is not one of my gifts. She did try and give me weekly cooking lessons, and if you could see the directions and how I wrote down what she said, you'd definitely laugh. For example, in my notes, Graham holds the garlic in her fingers and stands over the pot, then slices it this way and that way with a small knife over the pot, and don't put it in too long because burned garlic is really gross. That right there is innovative recipe notes. But through her learnings and advice, I married a man who can cook as good as her, as well as reciprocate meals from restaurants, so I'm winning there. I learned through Graham's stories how much she loved to travel with my grandfather and their friends. She would share tales from her trips right down to the dates, the name of the hotel, and the things she ate. I was marveled at her memory. She taught me this love of travel and shared her slides of these trips so I could live vicariously through her. When I was in college, I wanted to study abroad so bad, to which my parents promptly said no. I went and talked to Graham, and she supported me in my trip in every way she could. So when that plane landed in London for my semester abroad, it was her who I thanked. I learned to always always be afraid of the yardstick. Very afraid. I learned that I should never get old. Every time I asked her how she was doing, she told me she was getting older by the minute and to not get old. And though it's impossible to not get old, I learned that you don't have to act old. Graham tried to climb a rope at my daughter's gymnastics birthday party when she was in her 90s. You may have seen the photo of her going down the slide at my cousin's house, also in her 90s. She was never too old to dance, sing, paint pumpkins, or do anything, so her advice of never getting old to me just meant don't let yourself feel old. You're only as young as you feel. To that end, I learned that your knees can talk when you get older, but don't listen to them. She was always telling them to shut up and kept walking anyway. I learned from Graham, if you can't be good, be bad. Every time we said goodbye to Graham, she would tell my kids, if you can't be good, be bad. And on some occasions, she'd say to be very, very bad. I could go on and on with all my learnings from this amazing woman I had in my life for so many years, but I'll leave you with the most important lesson she taught me. She taught me that family doesn't mean just those who share your blood. It's about the people you surround yourself with, who love you and who you love. Didn't matter that my mom wasn't her real daughter. She loved her like one anyway. And it didn't matter that my cousins on the other side of the family weren't her actual grandchildren. She treated them like they were regardless. Anyone who showed Graham kindness and love got the same in return. They were family to her, and that is the greatest lesson anyone can teach someone, to love and to be loved no matter what. On the day Graham passed away, I have a little desk calendar, and it had this quote from George Bernard Shaw. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I couldn't come up with a better quote to capture how amazing my grandmother was. I hope someday my family sees this quote and thinks of me in the same way when I'm gone, just like I do with her. Love you forever, Graham. Thank you.